Good morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Corpus Christi. My name is Ren Aldrich. My pronouns are they, them, and I'm pleased to be your worship associate this morning. Whether this is your first time here or you've been coming for years, or even if you're with us online, we unconditionally welcome you as your full, authentic self. We gather here today with intention to remember our values of interdependence, equity, transformation, pluralism, generosity, and justice, with love at the center. We often fall short of these ideals, but we continually grow as spiritual and moral beings. To that end, we recite a covenant each week, which is not a creed, but a promise we make to one another. We have several announcements today. We're looking ahead to future services, so if you have ideas for topics, speakers, and collaborators for future sermons, contact Jim Adams from the worship team or add your ideas to the sheet on the board in the hallway. It's springtime and maybe your garden would enjoy a beautiful new plant. The garden at Elise and Ray's home got a little excited last year and grew too many beautiful variegated agaves. Those extra plants are now waiting on the back patio for anyone to claim and take home. Please see Elise during or after the potluck for instructions on how to care for your new plant. We have an egg hunt today right after the service before the potluck starts. If you didn't bring a basket, don't worry, we have some you can borrow. Because of the potluck, our monthly humanist group discussion will be postponed for the month, and our bi-weekly gaming group will be moved to Sunday, April 12th. Awe Adventures Birding will take place this Wednesday, April 8th at 7 a.m. Discover birds in our own backyard and at Lakeview Park. Meet at the U2C3 parking lot. Liam Wolf, a professional experienced guide, is volunteering his time to instruct beginners and will share the joys of birdwatching. All levels of experience are welcome. Let us know if you need to borrow some binoculars. For more information, contact Lisa Cuevas. The Pumpkin Patch will be having its first brainstorming session next Sunday, April 12th, after the service. So if you're interested in having any kind of say in what happens during our Pumpkin Patch this year, come on by. The spring congregational meeting will be Sunday, May 17th, after the service at 12:15. We'll be discussing the upcoming elections for several committee positions. The U2C3 book group will be starting a new book, The Disaster Tourist by Yoon Ko Yoon, I hope I'm saying that right, on Friday, May 1st at 2 p.m. It's available free to download on Overdrive or for purchase at all online retailers. The audiobook version is only available by purchase. All are welcome. The book group is not meeting when they normally would on April 16th. They're going to wait until May 1st, so you have plenty of time to read the book. As always, check your order of service for upcoming events and scan the QR code to be connected with our weekly e-blast, where all these events and more can be found. Thus endeth the announcements. It is our custom in this church to offer visitors and newcomers a chance to introduce themselves if they feel comfortable doing so. If it's your first time here, or you just feel ready to say hello after coming for a while, we invite you to stand as you're able or raise your hand, and Gail will bring you the microphone so you can tell us your name and where you're from. Are there any visitors or newcomers who would like to introduce themselves?
My name's Dustin, and I live here in Corpus.
Nice, welcome.
My name is Lauren Cantor-Torcasi. Most of you know that. Our dear friends who are here from Oregon, I'd like to introduce Carol and Bill Allen.
Welcome. Anybody else? All right, well, we are glad that you're here today. Join us for coffee and conversation, and you're in luck, a wonderful potluck after the service today. Yeah, don't feel bad if you didn't bring anything. There will be so much food. Please eat it. Our service will now begin. I invite you to stand as you're able to join the choir in singing our prelude. opening words this morning are from Peggy Clark. Easter is a holiday of miracles. It is life from death, joy from sorrow, celebration from mourning. Easter reminds us that all is never lost, that the story continues as long as we are here to tell it. So gather up your worries. We are going to bury them beneath the ground and watch them transform into flowers of hope, pushing through the earth, reminding us on Easter morning that love brings us back to life, calls us from sadness, from grief, from anxiety, into a world renewed, alive, and filled with joy once again. I would like to invite Zane up to light the chalice while I share these words from Katie Savani Gelfand. We call forth the life of our faith by igniting our chalice. This spark of new beginnings invites us into a sacred place to reflect where we have been and where we're going. Even knowing that this particular flame will intentionally end with our ritual extinguishing, we fear not its end. For we know, with brave hearts, that from every ending of our lives, we are sent forth to make a new beginning. Please rise to it for the affirmation of our church covenant. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to serve human need to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with the divine. Thus do we covenant with each other and with all we hold sacred. You may be seated.
Jesus is just alright with me. Jesus is just alright, oh yeah. Jesus is just alright with me. Jesus is just alright. I don't care what they may say. I don't care what they may do. I don't care what they may say. Jesus is just alright, oh yeah. Jesus is just alright. Jesus is just alright with me. Jesus is just alright, oh yeah. Jesus is just alright with me. Jesus is just alright. I don't care what they may know. I don't care where they may go. I don't care what they may know. Jesus is just alright, oh yeah.
He's my friend. Jesus, he's my friend. He took me by the hand, let me far from this land. Jesus,
Jesus is just alright with me. Jesus is just alright, oh yeah. Jesus is just alright with me. Jesus is just alright.
Our hope and our love.
I don't care what they may say. I don't care what they may do. I don't care what they may say. Jesus is just alright, oh yeah.
Our story this morning is a video, so I will let Nick do the honors, starting our story for all ages.
Escargot and the Search for Spring. Story by Dashka Slater. Pictures by Sydney Hansen. Bonjour! I was hoping you would open this book. You are looking very nice today. Perhaps you would say the same thing about me? Of course, a beautiful French snail like escargot looks nice every day. But do you think I seem a little pale? Does it seem like my eyes are not so bright? Do my tentacles look droopy? Perhaps my trail isn't quite as shimmery as before. I was afraid of this. It has been a long winter, and escargot is suffering from ennui, which is the feeling you have when you are bored with everything. I am tired of making snow angels and snow snails and wearing cozy sweaters. I am even tired of hot chocolate. But now I must tell you something terrible. So terrible you might faint. I am fainting just thinking about it. Perhaps you can fan me so I recover. Okay, I will tell you the terrible thing. Escargot is trapped. There is an enormous snowbank blocking the front door. I have made a decision. I will dig through the enormous snowbank and go out into the world to look for signs of spring. You should come. While we are digging through the snow, we can talk. Tell me, what do you do when you are suffering from ennui? Do you read an interesting book? Invent an elegant new dance? Change the style of your tentacles? Sometimes it helps to kiss a snail, but only if you want to. I am just trying to help. One way to overcome ennui is to have an amusing conversation. Do you know any good jokes? I will tell one first. Knock, knock. Now you must say, who's there? Let us. You say, let us who? Let us begin our search for spring. If you do not know any jokes, you can share an interesting fact. Did you know that snails can sleep for 3 years? C'est vrai? A snail is a world champion sleeper. Is it just me, or is that snowbank following us? Oh la la! It is not a snowbank. It is a bunny rabbit. What is a bunny rabbit doing in our book? We were having a nice time, just the two of us, n'est-ce pas? We don't need any bunny rabbits. You probably think the bunny rabbit is adorable. More adorable than a French snail who is suffering from a terrible case of ennui. Perhaps you want to tell jokes with this bunny rabbit and share facts about long bunny ears and fluffy bunny tails and how high a bunny can hop? I do not find these facts at all interesting, but you can stay here if you like. I will continue on alone. Excusez-moi, bunny rabbit. I said I was continuing on alone. I am very busy searching for spring, and I do not have time to be bothered by bunny rabbits. If you do not leave my book to the seat, I will be forced to make a fierce face at you. This is your final warning, bunny rabbit. I am now going into my shell. I expect you to be gone when I come out. Quoi? The bunny rabbit is still here? C'est inacceptable. This is not a bunny book. There are plenty of other bunny books for bunny rabbits to go hopping around in. If anyone is going to be hopping around in this book, it will be me. You don't believe that escargot can hop? Fine. The bunny and I will have a contest. You can be the judge. Whoever hops the highest can have the whole book to themselves. We will hop on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3, sautez! Did you see my jump? It was so fast you might have missed it. I hopped all the way to the moon, which was full of moony things like moonbeams and moon rocks and moon salads. I would have brought some back, but I had to get here before the rabbit, who seems to have hopped right out of the book. I am the winner. Thump. Oh, merci. It is possible that I don't have ennui after all. Maybe I was just hungry. A hungry snail is a sad snail and also a rude snail. Perhaps the bunny rabbit would like to stay in my book after all. The sun is shining, the birds are singing, the snow is melting, and look, flowers, the first sign of spring. Let us eat them together. Bon appetit!
Arlene is going to take our young and young at heart to religious exploration, and we will sing the children out.
After our meditation reading and time of silence, when the music begins, all who would like to are invited to come this way to the chalice table and light a candle representing a joy or sorrow you may be holding in your heart today. If you're with us online, you are welcome to share your joys and sorrows by using the chat feature. Our meditation this morning is by Lisa Doge, and I think it's a wonderful way for people of all beliefs to meditate on the concept of Easter. Rejecting literal readings of what we insist is only a myth, we look to nature and religions close to the earth for alternative stories of the season. Explaining away troublesome details, the empty tomb, Jesus' appearance to the women and the disciples, we tell a story that appeals to reason. Supervised, nevertheless, by the call of the season waking an ancient longing in our heart, we pause from our explanations to ponder the stirring. Unwilling to quiet the voice crying for rebirth, fresh starts, and new life. We remember a time we have been as if dead, yet still our hearts beat and we move upon the earth. So we set our disbelief aside, if only for a moment, in a day, in a season. Reason tells us life precedes death, and death itself is final. But our experience of second chances, cures, recovery, forgiveness, and reconciliation tell a different story. Even when life as we have known it is destroyed forever and hope has abandoned us, somehow life has held us and breathed us into new being. Life has called us to rise in fullness, triumphant, humble, grateful. Insistent life who will not let us go, who even at our most broken, most wretched, call us out of the tomb. Now the stories merge, myth and science, history and experience, and we whisper, Alleluia. Alleluia that you are. Alleluia that we are. Alleluia, life everlasting. Our time of silence will now begin. Jim. Today, Kirk Newport will share with us a message about the third Jesus. Kirk was born in New Orleans and raised in California. A dedicated member of U2C3 since 1996, Kirk has served in multiple capacities, but don't call him a groundskeeper, he's a terraformer. He is also an amateur cellist, an unrepentant Wagnerian, I said it right, and enjoys outdoor activities. Originally raised in the Methodist Church, Kirk now practices Buddhism. He is the proud father of 1 daughter, 3 stepsons, and multiple grandchildren. Please welcome Kirk.
I'm also a bit of a francophile, so j'ai adoré l'accent de l'escargot. Good morning, everybody. Some of you may remember that I gave not only the very unofficial Christmas message last December, but I gave the equally unofficial Easter message a year ago. It was a little bit coincidental, but I've noticed in myself a lack of inhibition about speaking of Christian themes. This doesn't come from any special training, but simply from my own culture background, a habit of reading a variety of kind of general audience religious books, listening to podcasts, and following religious items in the news. As my introduction stated, I was raised within the Methodist Church as a child, but I now consider myself a Buddhist. This didn't come about suddenly or from any traumatic experience, but rather just a slow realization that the tenets of Buddhism are far more consistent with my understanding of how the universe actually works. That said, our own Unitarian Universalist tradition emerged from Christianity, and it seems reasonable to me that we not lose sight of that part of our identity. Otherwise, I don't have an agenda, and I'm not here to proselytize anybody. I'm hoping that my takeaway this morning will be that the lessons of Jesus and Christianity should include more than debates about virgin births and resurrections, but should emphasize how Jesus' ethics should inform the world we live in today. And today, as you all know, is Easter Sunday, so happy Easter. But I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not going to talk all that much about Easter, a little bit, but not a whole lot. Instead, I'm going to introduce a rather radical interpretation of Jesus' legacy. This is a fairly recent theology. As a teaser, I'm going to read one paragraph from a longer document. I'll let you think about it while I push forward. Your mission, should you choose to accept it, you all get the reference, all you Mission Impossible fans, is to figure out who wrote it. The only hint I'm going to give you is that it's a fairly recent document by someone you've all heard about. And here's the quote. As it is, the current model, with its emphasis on success and self-reliance, does not appear to favor an investment in efforts to help the slow, the weak, or the less talented to find opportunities in life. The same questions keep coming back to us. Does this mean that the less gifted are not human beings? Or that the weak do not have the same dignity as ourselves? Are those born with fewer opportunities of lesser value as human beings? Should they limit themselves to merely surviving? The worth of our societies and of our own future depend on the answers we give to these questions. Either we are to regain our moral and spiritual dignity, or we fall into a cesspool. Unless we stop and take this matter seriously, we will continue openly or surreptitiously to legitimize the present model of distribution, where a minority believes that it has the right to consume in a way which can never be universalized, since the planet could not even contain the waste products of such consumption. So, ouch. Okay, that's the paragraph. Keep it to yourselves for the moment. Don't say anything out loud. But I want you to figure out, or speculate, who might have written that. Obviously, someone from the radical left. I would say. There's no God talk either, so probably an atheist too. Definitely sounds like it could have come from a UUA, official UUA position paper. So I would say it's a UU radical leftist atheist. I'll spill the beans in a little bit. I'll give you a hint. It's not somebody from the UUA. That would be too easy. Plus, you probably don't know anybody in the UUA. I couldn't tell you who the president of the UUA is. Having previously spoken about Easter and Christmas, it occurred to me that both holidays, the two most important holidays on the Christian calendar, are a little bit unusual, and they don't really spend much time on the 3 years of Jesus' ministry. Christmas is easy enough for most people to get comfortable with. It's a kind of a strange combination of a whole bunch of stuff all rolled into one, and it's pretty easy to pick something you like and ignore all the rest. The Christmas story in the Bible, when you think about it, only covers a very tiny portion of Jesus' life. Basically his conception and birth, and that's about it. So it's a minuscule part of the life of Jesus. And I'm going to call this, just for the sake of my message this morning, I'm going to call this Jesus 0.0. Positive numbers don't start at 1. They start after 0. So this is the beginning. After the birth story, the Bible goes silent for roughly 30 years until Jesus begins his ministry. And for the purposes of my message, I'm going to refer to this period as Jesus 1.0. So this is when the story of Jesus really gets going. This is when he's maybe in his 30-ish. We don't exactly know, but he's a young man, not so young. My impression of this period is not consistent with many of the current models. My Jesus is not the all-powerful, regal God that sanctions the authority of our leaders, nationalistic ambitions, and especially not the status of the rich and powerful. My Jesus is a wandering, possibly illiterate nobody from a small village in a backwater province of the Roman Empire. He has no job, he has no money, he has no social connections with people in high places, and he has no wife, which is unusual for a Jewish male of that age. He does have a ragtag group of friends that follow him around. And I would say this does not sound promising. Jesus did not, in his lifetime, Jesus did not establish a church or a religious movement. These came later by the works of others, particularly by the Apostle Paul. From my perspective, the most important characteristics of this period are contained in the parables. There are 38 of them. They are simply stated but pithy stories, I think, that illustrate deep truths about the human condition. And I hate to break this to you, but Jesus was definitely not a Unitarian Universalist. He taught that God will judge us, and that we had better get right with God because Judgment Day was coming. Jesus was an apocalyptic preacher. He thought the end times were imminent in his lifetime, and he wanted people to get ready for it. Or they better get ready for it, or they're going to be sorry. But what was slightly different about him, in fact, what was a lot different about him, was that he did not think that God judged people using customs concerning the traditional purity laws, the strict adherence to formal rituals, and the legalistic approach to all these issues which were common in the Jewish religious hierarchy. Jesus said that God wanted us to love thy neighbor, forgive, practice humility, have concern for the poor and suffering, abhor materialism, acknowledge that all people have value, and to let our actions speak louder than our words. Overall, Jesus taught that people should emphasize ethical behavior and genuine relationships rather than the mere rule following that was customary of his time. And I'm going to come back to this idea in just a little bit. And then there's Easter. Depending on how you define it, it lasts somewhere between 8 and 48 days. It's 8 days if you count the beginning as Jesus' entry into Jerusalem on Palm Sunday until his crucifixion on Easter Sunday. So that's 8 days. It's 48 days if you count the encounters with the disciples after his resurrection and before his ascent into heaven. You referenced that in one of your readings. Either way, it's a pretty small part of his life. So you've got, a tiny fraction with the birth narrative. You have 48 days at most at the end of his life, and there's no holiday to everything in the middle. To complicate things, and unlike Christians, unlike Christmas, the theology of Easter gets really complicated. This is where God becomes a mortal human being. He enters human history and is sacrificed to atone for all our sins. Jesus is both fully human and fully God, all at the same time. And this is the faith of many Christians. On the other hand, for many reasons, for many others, non-Christians, liberal Christians, agnostics, and atheists, this is not our faith. For myself, it is not consistent with how I understand the universe to work. Some scholars of early Christianity have suggested that the Easter story is so radically different from everything that preceded it that it represents an entirely new and different interpretation of Jesus. And I'm going to refer to this as Jesus 2.0. And this is the Jesus in heaven. But why did it have to be so different? One of the problems of the early Christians had to reconcile were the prophecies of the Hebrew Bible that describe the characteristics of the Messiah. The Messiah was expected to be a political military leader like King David, who would vanquish the enemies of the Israelites and establish a strong Jewish state. Jesus was definitely not that Messiah. Instead, after wandering the countryside for 3 years with his disciples, observing, preaching, healing the sick, he entered Jerusalem, again on Palm Friday, probably for the first time in his adult life, caused a commotion in the temple, promptly got arrested, and was executed by the Roman authorities. His disciples fled the scene. As I said before, this does not sound promising. It is suggested by probably the same scholars that the transformation of the executed, dusty, itinerant rabbi into the martyred God himself was how the early Christians made sense of his death and tried to illuminate a path forward. Things were not good after his execution. I was tempted, being the heathen UU that I am to some degree, I was tempted to explore this dramatic change in the story of the Messiah as some sort of desperate historical revisionism. They had to come up with something. Had to come up with a new story. But I pulled back from that because I was reminded of one of our UUA principles. The principle I'm referring to is the fourth principle that states that there is a free and responsible search for truth and meaning. Expanding on this principle, the UUA writes, I'm quoting from the UUA, this is not me, we have left open of what truth and meaning are, acknowledging that mindful people will, in every age, discover new insights. Okay, we're going to fast forward 2,000 years. Are there any thoughts who may have written that leftist diatribe? Frederick Douglass. Okay, got vote. Anyone else? Who? Pope Leo. Wait, we got Frederick Douglass, an abolitionist. We got Pope Leo. Anyone else? J.D. No, he's out. Taylor Swift, more likely Taylor Swift than J.D. Vance. Martin Luther King. Okay, I did hear the right answer. It was Pope Leo. It's referred to as an apostolic exhortation. That's just sort of an official title. It's It was entitled De Lexi Te, which is Latin for I have loved you, and it was further entitled Of the Holy Father Leo XIV to all Christians on love for the poor. This was published last fall, just 5 or 6 months old. It's basically a position paper, not of the UUA, but of the Roman Catholic Church. I'm not Catholic, and I disagree with some of their policies, but this document would surprise, if not scandalize, a lot of people in this day and age. That's a good thing. I will say, mindful people will, in every age, discover new insights. I had originally intended to prepare a Sunday message this morning entitled Pope Bob. There is no Pope Bob, of course, but there was an American-born Catholic cardinal named Robert Prevost, who was elected Pope last year and took the name of Leo XIV. He's an interesting person for a lot of reasons, and unfortunately I don't have time to explore them all today. I was going to do more, and I realized I'm going to run out of time. So I'm going to introduce some stuff. I'm going to just give a teaser about the origin of this rather controversial document, hopefully to be followed up at a later time. But here's a quick review. We had the innocent pastoral baby Jesus in the manger. That was 0.0. There's the boots on the ground countryside rabbi. What's the definition of rabbi? Anybody know what that is? It's a Jewish teacher. Rabbi means teacher. That's 1.0. There's the victorious, death-defying magisterial Jesus in heaven. That's 2.0. That's the radical new Jesus. But now I'm going to speculate that maybe there's a third Jesus. There's a new Jesus, because it's quite different from all the three that came before. So who is this new third Jesus? Now, again, this is my terminology, not anyone else's. De Lexi Te, that's the document that he wrote, was not uniquely the work of Pope Leo, but was actually started by his predecessor, Pope Francis. Francis was from Argentina, and Pope Leo was born in Chicago, but he spent 20 years in Peru. So we have two men, two consecutive popes with strong influences from South America, a continent that had never previously produced a single pope. So this is a pretty dramatic policy shift. What this means is that a new theological tradition that has been previously somewhat ignored is now beginning to enter the spotlight. It's called liberation theology. How many of you have heard that term? A few of you. Its formal name originated in the 1960s, but so this is in terms of the history of the Catholic Church. This is like yesterday. This is very recent. So 1960s, but its roots extend into the last, I would say, 500 years of Latin American history. And that's what I'm not going to have time for in the next minute. If there's one central theme to liberation theology, it's that spiritual and social liberation are inseparable. It's not sufficient to preach about faith and everlasting life after death without addressing the physical and material needs of people that are alive today. Latin America had its own unique, and tragically, Latin America had its own unique political economic systems that produced all sorts of exploitative relationships between those who were ruled and those who were oppressed. And for hundreds of years, all these systems were sanctioned by the Catholic Church. That is starting to change. I'll say it again. Multiple people will, in every age, discover new insights. That sounds like a UUA. It is the UUA. But the Catholics have adopted this, I think. Jesus did not establish a church, much less a society with a political economic system that embraced a radical love for all people. He tried. He was not successful. The good news, and this is my final pitch, the good news that it hasn't inhibited successive generations from carrying on. Let's hope that this new Jesus and all the ones that are likely to follow will continue to build on this dream. Ideas can always be reborn and given new life. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kirk. Now is the time we participate in the financial care of our church community by giving and receiving the offering. If you're contributing to your pledge today, please be sure to write pledge on your check or cash envelope. When the music begins, the ushers will offer you a basket to put your offering in. Alternatively, you can use the QR code on the screen to give electronically. Your offering, no matter how you make it, will be gratefully received. Please remain seated after the music is over for the closing of our service.
Reach out and touch faith.
Your own personal Jesus. Someone to hear your prayers, someone who cares. Your own personal Jesus. Someone to hear your prayers, someone who's there. Feeling unknown and you're all alone, flesh and bone by the telephone. Lift up the receiver, I'll make you a believer. Take second best, put me to the test. Things on your chest you need to confess. I will deliver, you know I'm a forgiver.
Reach out and touch faith. Reach out and touch faith.
Your own personal Jesus. Someone to hear your prayers, someone who cares. Your own personal Jesus. Someone to hear your prayers, someone who's there. Feeling unknown and you're all alone, flesh and bone by the telephone. Lift up the receiver, I'll make you a believer. I will deliver, you know I'm a forgiver.
Reach out and touch faith.
Your own personal Jesus.
Reach out and touch faith. Reach out and touch faith.
Reach out and touch faith.
For all those who celebrate the resurrection of Jesus, may this day be another affirmation of divine love and promise. For all those who see the eternal story of new spring and life beginning anew, may you breathe deeply of a season of promise and hope. For all who are experiencing despair or hopelessness this Easter, may you find in the darkness or depression a doorway to light and warmth that offers you freedom. For all of us, Together, we can do what no one isolated person can do. Rolling the heavy stone aside reminds us we are far more powerful than we ever could be on our own. Our offering of strong hands to help, our prayers made real. Let us all begin to love. By Alex Holt. I invite you all to stand and sing our closing hymn, number 414.
As we leave this friendly place, love give light to every face. When the kindness which we learn light our heart till we return.
Until next time, friends, go in love and light.